My husband and his friends had a LAN party to celebrate the release of the new Call of Duty Modern Warfare. It's Modern Warfare 3. Modern Warfare 3, I think, is what it was. They had this cute, they set up monitors and they had the Xbox out and it was so cute. And they were sitting at the table and I kid you not, he's going to kill me for saying this, but my husband's friend, who will remain nameless so that he can still store up his rewards in heaven for this, said, before we start, gentlemen, can we have a little prayer? And they all bowed their heads and prayed for their wives who were watching their children so that they could play this game, and for their children to grow up to be good people and that they could honor God in their gameplay. It was so cute. I almost died.
Welcome to another episode of Is This for Kids? I am Jonathan Bearded Blevins.
I am Katie, MrsRuvi.
MrsRuvi.
Hi.
How are you?
Oh, I'm so good.
How are the kids?
You know, they're good. I have such good kids.
Your kids are pretty good. They're pretty funny.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, all of them.
They're all funny. They're all smart. They're all kind.
Yeah. And
I'm not sure what happened there. I just won the genetic lottery.
I mean, you and Luis are all those things too, though.
He's very good looking.
That like helps, I think.
Yeah. Well, right? Yeah, I'm sure that we had at least a little bit of a hand in it.
Yeah.
But for the most part, we got really lucky. You know, like when people will tell you that, oh, my kid slept through the night since they were 4 weeks old, and they like self-congratulate. You just had a lucky kid, right? Back off. So I'm very like aware of that. My kids are great because they're great, and I might have helped a little.
And you got a little bit lucky.
Yeah, I got way lucky.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fascinating.
Sorry, my chair was doing something weird.
That's okay. My kids are doing well.
Yes. Sorry.
It's fine. I recently had a daddy weekend where I was in charge of all three, which was a lot of fun because life's been a little busy lately.
Yeah.
And so it was good to. Break? Yeah, she got a little women's weekend.
I love that
out in Wisconsin with her friends. So it was good, and I loved it because I just had quality time with the kids for 3 straight days and got to really, really delight in my 3-year-old, Kiara. I have decided that the best age of your kids is 3.
3.
100%, because they're it's almost never their fault when they do something wrong because they don't really understand it, so it's just kind of adorable. And then the way they talk, like she is so smart, but I just will not correct her on the way that she speaks and says things wrong because it's the most adorable thing ever. So she like looked at me the other day and she had little tears in her eyes and she's like, "Daddy, I need help because my stuffy's lost."
Oh.
And I was like, "Oh, it's lost. Let's go find the lost puppy together." And she's like, "Okay." Oh, it was amazing.
You gotta be a little careful with that because I did that with my 4th child.
Yeah.
Because he was supposed to be the last one, and we thought that was going to be the end of it, and so we just delighted in his blue bellies. He said blue bellies his whole life.
What's that instead of blueberries?
They're blue bellies, and we thought it was so cute. And now he's in speech therapy.
Oh no. There you go.
So watch that a little bit.
So it's funny because
if there's no R's by the age of 7, maybe start talking to somebody.
Yeah, we should. It's funny. My mom was with. I think Jody was in the house, and I was gone, and she was teaching Kiara to say Caleb instead of. I think she was saying like Caleb.
Oh yeah.
And so she's like Caleb. And now, like, she walks around the house and she's just like, Caleb. And everyone in the house, like, boys are furious. Like, Zachary cried.
Oh.
He's like, she doesn't say Caleb anymore.
Oh,
it was so funny.
So sad.
But anyway.
My 3-year-old does this really cute thing. You know the expression, like, out of the mouths of babes come the greatest truths or whatever the whole expression is, but nobody ever knows what it is. She always says, she doesn't know the phrase, look at me. Like, that confuses her. Yep. So she'll say, Mom, see me. And it feels so like, how many times in your life have you felt misunderstood in the world and you wanted to look at somebody and be like, see me?
Yeah.
It's just like, it touches my soul when she says it. I'm not going to teach her the phrase look at me. She doesn't need to know.
Yeah, just see me forever.
Yeah, there's no need for indirect objects in our lives.
You know what we don't want to see?
What?
Duty.
Call of Duty?
See what I did there though? I was talking about poop.
So good. I love the transition.
We are going to talk today about video games. So we've done Fortnite, and we've done Minecraft and Roblox.
We also did Mortal Kombat, in case anyone was curious.
Yeah, Mortal Kombat. So we've done some video game episodes. We have a lot of requests for those.
Yeah.
And we're going to talk about a couple of video games here this week, starting with Call of Duty, because it was just released. Another one.
Yes.
I believe it's the 20th in the series. There were like 3 remakes as well. So I think there's like 23 total Call of Duty games.
Yes.
See?
My husband and his friends had a LAN party to celebrate the release of the new Call of Duty Modern Warfare. It's Modern Warfare 3. Modern Warfare 3, I think, is what it was. They had this cute, they set up monitors and they had the Xbox out and it was so cute. And they were sitting at the table and I kid you not, he's going to kill me for saying this, but my husband's friend, who will remain nameless so that he can still store up his rewards in heaven for this, said, before we start, gentlemen, can we have a little prayer? And they all bowed their heads and prayed for their wives who were watching their children so that they could play this game, and for their children to grow up to be good people and that they could honor God in their gameplay. It was so cute. I almost died. I ran across the room like while they're praying and took a picture of them, and the friend who was praying was like, you better not post that anywhere.
And you did.
I did. I immediately posted it on Twitter. I was like, you gotta let it go, man. I'm gonna do it.
That is so cool. Did you then like listen to them? Did they get into like Call of Duty mode and start absolutely trash talking an hour later, or no?
No, they were playing with each other, so I think that they were fine. But I wasn't listening because I went upstairs to put the baby to bed. But I also that night had made French onion soup for dinner because it's my favorite food for the wintertime. I love it. I made a whole Instagram reel for it. But so I made French onion soup, and then also in the winter my voice always gets a little bit scratchy because of heaters for whatever reason. So if you notice that, that's what it is. I'm not sick. But anyway, so I had a scratchy voice and I had cut up 3 pounds of onions. So my eyes were just puffy and terrible. And so the next morning, one of the guys that was there, his wife texted me, was like, hey, my husband said that you were crying all night. Are you okay? Like, should I be? And he said, your voice was scratchy and your eyes were puffy. And I was like, I made French onion soup and it's winter. I'm so sorry. Yep. Everything's fine. It was, sorry.
People are probably going to learn throughout these winter months that you belong in like Florida.
I do. I belong in Florida.
Yeah, or Arizona, or not in the Midwest.
What I need you to do is go to patreon.com/isthisforkids and then donate. What's the cost of a house in Florida?
Probably between $250 and $500K for sure.
Okay, so just $250K, and then just put a note. This is for Katie to get out of the cold.
Yeah.
Thank you.
There you go.
Yeah.
Huge. Call of Duty.
Yes.
I'm excited to talk about it. For those who don't know, Call of Duty is a first-person shooter game that really in all 23 of the games goes from like World War II and then into including wars in the future.
Yes.
Which is interesting. Cold War's in there.
Yes.
And just a bunch of different wars.
Vietnam.
Yeah. And it's a competitive game as well that a lot of people will play and do tournaments, and you can win money. It's also one of the most popular games streamed on Twitch and Kick and YouTube and Facebook Gaming and anywhere that you can watch someone play games.
Yep.
It kind of has this weird cycle where the Call of Duty releases like 2 or 3 games a year, it seems like at this point.
Yeah.
And the community always thinks it's going to be great and then streams it, and the numbers are high, and then they're annoyed at the bugs and the cheaters and the people who are hacking, and so then it goes away, and then they get excited about the next one to come out. So that's kind of the cycle of it. But the 20th individual one was just released on November 10th. And yeah, it's rated 17 and up, technically, which is interesting because I feel like a lot of younger kids than 17 play it.
Yep.
And we want to talk about whether or not it's for kids. So what are your general thoughts, Ruvi, on Call of Duty?
So generally, Call of Duty kind of falls into this, it's got a story mode and an online mode, right? Like you can play with other people online in a campaign, or you can play the story and learn the whole backstory. So like a lot of people watch The Last of Us on HBO. There's a story that could be made into a movie that Call of Duty has, right? And it has a reputation for having a good story, for having a lot of emphasis on good graphics. They have a scoring, meaning like the score, there's a background, there's music, there's an orchestra plays to this, and it can make the person who's playing the game feel like they are a hero in World War II, that they are participating in this. And I do have this whole like strange theory about men in our generation kind of needing that for bonding, to be able to like, because there haven't been any real wars where, you know, World War II was sort of the last war where we all agreed on the good guys and the bad guys, right? There was no nuance there. And I think that men enjoy that. I'm speaking as a woman. I'm gonna woman-splain manhood to you.
Please, thank you.
I think that they need that. And, you know, our friend Bobby wrote a whole book about, you know, questing and hero and things like that, and how that's good for men. But there is a lot of gore and blood, and the online chatter, if you're playing the online version, tends to be a lot of toxicness. I don't want to say toxic masculinity, but it is.
No, 100% is. Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
There are literally female streamers who, and for those who don't know, streaming, you can put a camera on yourself and share your gameplay on your screen, and people will watch you. People can make lots of money doing this.
Yeah. Think of it like watching a football game, except instead of football, it's Call of Duty.
Yeah, exactly. And there are literally female streamers who make a living. And I don't mean like, 40 grand a year, like a living, a good living, just streaming themselves playing Call of Duty for the purpose of what you hear when you join a random lobby and you're a girl playing this game.
Yes.
And the things that men will say to these ladies is, it's weird to say unbelievable, but it really is to me. It's unbelievable. It's like, how could someone say the things that people are saying? And it's not just it's not just like sexism. There's racism. There's just a lot of things. If it exists, if there's people out there exist, you can hear it when you play games like Call of Duty that allow you to talk to the people that you're playing with. And there's proximity chat, so you can even sometimes hear the people you're playing against. So you could go in with 4 friends that you know and love, and you're not going to do anything, but you could also be hearing what the other teams are saying.
Yeah, if their characters are physically near you.
Yeah.
In the game. Not physically in the game. You know what I mean?
So it is rated 17 and up, like we said. There is a lot of gore. There's actually a lot of drug references.
Yes.
And there's some language as well. But here's something interesting. You can turn all those off. You can toggle those off, which is like I wonder why they don't have like
just a clean version. Just hit the button and it's all there.
Yeah, and maybe then like change the rating. Say there's 2 ratings. Like I don't know how you do that in a video game, but and then of course you can also turn off the proximity chat.
Yeah. I
have a very good friend who has a bunch of teenage boys. And he's an awesome dad.
I can smell it from here.
Yes, you can. And he talks about he's very competitive. He like loves video games, and his kids love video games. Yeah. And he doesn't let his kid use proximity chat or even really talk to the people he's playing with on Valorant. And his son is like, but it gives me a massive disadvantage. I'm trying to be good, and I can't help my team. Yeah. And he's like, I know. But then don't play something else.
Yeah.
So as someone who like enjoys some competitive games and stuff, I do understand like being able to talk to your team is really important. But you do have to be careful as a parent to know who your kids are playing with when they're playing games like Call of Duty. But for me, I mean, I have just the worst things I have heard in my life were during the times that I was playing Call of Duty.
Yeah. So when I play this game, I've only played it a couple of times because of what you described earlier. Women don't fare well in these games, least of all young women, young girls, teenage girls, anybody, like whatever we're saying, I would assume we mean teenage sons, unless you want your daughter to be exposed to something absolutely awful. Because, I think that these things are common in any space where like young boys tend to congregate, because what they like to do is say the most offensive thing that they can think of, the most hurtful thing that they can think of, because they don't recognize you as a real person. You're just a voice on the other side of the world. Yep. They're in a situation where they're in combat. And like, if this were a real war, real combat, these are things I probably would say. Like, the difference between the greatest generation who participated in this war and our boys who are playing this on computer games at home, or console games or whatever at home, is that in the greatest generation, they recognize we are in a battlefield right now. The things we are saying here belong in this space. It might be authentic to have said those things, but it's not being said in your mom's living room, where now you've normalized using the C word in your mom's living room.
Right.
And I feel like there's a cognitive dissonance in our brains that kind of goes off with that. So I hate to be the person who's going to say it's different for boys and for girls, but you might be okay with your son hearing they won't say as bad of things to your son. Your son won't hear, I'm going to rape you. No one's going to say that to your son, but they will say it to your daughter if she's in the game. Yeah. And that's stressful and upsetting, and it's so much worse. So what you're talking about is of needing to know what the people are. As long as you're only playing with people that you know who they are, you can toggle off those scary, like, blood and stuff.
Yeah.
Or just play the campaign and hear the storyline or whatever. And it would be different, but I would say that this is not good for anyone under 17, and I wouldn't put a woman in it ever.
Yeah, I'm pretty with you. And I'm trying not to be super stereotypical about this, because there are some stereotypes that like happen in my head when I just think of COD and League of Legends, which we're going to do another episode on as well. Yeah. But I just have not seen anything good come from the people who play this game, like, a lot, right? Yes. So. I have friends who love the game. They're fine. They're well-adjusted adults. But like when I was doing youth ministry and I was talking to 15, 16, 17-year-old kids who are playing those games, like the things they would say are insane. And they would never say those things, even with their friends in real life, because there's consequences for that. But there's no consequences when you can hide behind a screen name. Mm-hmm. There's just none. And then like it, like, try not to be stereotypical here, but like the people that the people who are doing horrible things on COD end up on 4chan and end up into the deep darkness that the internet can be. Yeah. And I'm not saying that that's going to happen, but it does happen. And it's one of those games where, like, I'm with you. I would wait until your kid is a really mature 16-year-old that you can trust and you know who he's playing with, he or she is playing with. Or like just follow the actual game itself that tells you 17 and up. Yeah. Like it's not made for you.
Well-formed in virtue. Once your kid is well-formed in virtue, then this kind of thing can be reasonable. Like I hate to be the jerk in this, like you're talking about, sorry, I don't want to be a Debbie Downer. I'm so sorry. I feel like that's all I am this week. But, the things that you're saying, they would never say that in real life. Like these are not things that they would come out of their mouth. I think that it does normalize it and make it come out of their mouth in real life. I used to lead a girls group, a high school girls group, and one of the girls who was enrolled in a religious high school with a good reputation for being well-formed religiously, said that in the library, she was doing a study group with her friends, with a class group. A boy said the phrase that I just said to you that gets told to me. I don't even like to repeat it because it's such a gross phrase. He looked her in the eyes and said, "That's what I'm going to do to you if you don't finish this project." In public, in school, in front of, there are nuns who work at this school. And so this normalizes that behavior so much. So again, at the game itself, there's not a problem. I mean, there is a little bit, but like if you're going to let your kid play a shooter that has gore, whatever, it's a lifelike shooter game. If you don't want to do a lifelike shooter, go back to Fortnite, right?
Yeah. I'm gonna sound like that guy, but there's just other games out there that you could have. You'll let your 12, 13, 14. I mean, I know a lot of parents who let their 7, 8, 9-year-old kids play Call of Duty, and maybe with their parents with stuff toggled off, like maybe that's fine. Yeah. We're here to give you the information, and then you all can make the best parenting choices that you can make for you and your family. But for me, when there are really fun games out there like Fortnite, like even Apex, which I think is a little bit more friendly, and maybe even Valorant. Ruby's like, no, we'll do those episodes. But like COD is just one of those ones that it's pretty toxic. And it's funny because I think that people who love COD would agree.
Yes.
This is what I think is the most funny thing about this and League of Legends, which we'll talk about, is like the people who play it the most are like, oh yeah, it's a cesspool.
Yeah, absolutely. The only people who are going to tell you it's not a cesspool are your kids because they want to play it. They're going to be like, Mom, no one has ever said anything like that in front of me. I'll turn off the things. I have to be able to talk to my teammates because I'm at a disadvantage. Yeah. Otherwise, blah, 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 blah. That your kids who want to get away with something are the only ones who are going to tell you that it's not bad.
Yeah, agree. So we both say 17 and up. Just make good decisions. But yeah. And let us know what other video games you want us to review. We had a lot of really good feedback on our video game episodes. You can go to isthisforkids.com and find everything, including our Patreon, our Instagram, our YouTube. For those who are listening on Apple, Spotify, wherever you listen to podcasts, thank you. We appreciate that.
Yeah.
But
love those reviews that are coming in on Apple.
They're good.
Not only that, they're funny. Like
I know.
I would like to, like one of these days I'm going to read some of those on an episode just so you can hear how funny our people are.
I love that. One of my good friends was the one who wrote like, and John sounds super handsome. So you can just check it out on YouTube and find out for yourself.
Yes, absolutely. Well, there's just so much media out there, John, and we got to navigate it as parents.
I'm Jonathan Blevins.
I'm Katie Ruvi. Thanks for letting us help you find out.
Is this for kids? See you next time.